Row 7 has two Chase drivers making their first Chicagoland Cup Series start. Chris Busch and Chase Elliott. Marty, how about his teammate that's also a Chaser, Chase Elliott?
And also in the top 5 as well, Rick. You know, I asked him a moment ago before he climbed in the car, any nerves going into your first ever playoffs? He said, no, not really. I said, why? He said, because of the man on top of the pit box. Alan Gustafson has now taken 4 drivers to the chase 9 different times. He said that experience is so undervalued. Just his calmness that he brings our race team kind of makes me calm. And then we're going into this playoffs just to have fun. That's our approach, our mentality. Jeff, you were a young driver one time, had a very experienced crew chief. How key is that when you're behind the wheel, especially when you're battling for a championship?
Oh, I think experience around you is very important. Remember, Bill Elliott, his father, has been in that championship battle too. So Chase has grown up around this environment, understands. He's seen it through his father, living that life through his father. His crew chief helping him. Remember, his car owner, Rick Hendrick, also has a lot of championships. So he has a lot of different areas to lean on for a little bit of comfort.
Martin Truex Jr. is now led. Again, lead lap cars are allowed to come to pit road first. Then the lap down cars will come next. That will cycle all the way through. As you're seeing yellow, caution pit stops coming up now, Dave.
Leader of 30 of the 51 laps so far this afternoon, Martin Truex Jr. comes to pit road. Car a little bit tight, air pressure change, 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Hey, Brad Keselowski pits from second. He said the car was loose in, tight in the center, and loose on exit. On board, he adjusted the track bar down. He said that helped the entry, but did not help the exit. So you see the wedge adjustment to help that out a little bit. Chase Elliott said the car was loose at the beginning of the run, but then came to him 35 laps into a run. They're going to try and tighten it up at the beginning. And Kyle Busch at the very front end of pit road will use that #1 pit stall to his advantage in a tight race off with Brad Keselowski. He said the car was a little bit too free at the beginning of the run.
Very close race off of pit road. Again, we'll cycle through the pit stops and let you know exactly where everyone will restart next.
Of a challenge for this race team throughout the course of the weekend. They've been chasing the racetrack as it builds rubber, as it builds heat. The conditions of the race car change consistently, so they want to have some maneuverability in that race car so that they can run various lines and adjust to the changing track conditions. Right now, Hamlin's saying the car has good balance and good speed as he tries to move toward the front.
We were documenting where people came off of pit road and where they lined up. Kevin Harvick is being scored as the first driver 1 lap down in 21st. Now, he did come back to pit road to change 4 tires after being on pit road and trying to get out in front of the 78. But again, he's a lap down in the free pass position. Another chaser that's a lap down is Chris Busch, running 24th.
Racetrack. Yeah, on lap 77 of a 267 lap race, Denny Hamlin talking about a potential engine issue. Those things don't normally fix themselves. So if indeed he does have a problem, this race is a long way to go, and that engine's going to have to survive if he wants to finish this race.
So that's 2 chasers that are feeling like they're dealing with a problem. Kelly, what about the 19?
Yeah, another car to keep your eye on. Carl Edwards asking his team if they got all the lug nuts tight on their wheels when they came to pit road. His crew chief, Dave Rogers, said, hey, they've all given the thumbs up here. And he asked again, are you still feeling that vibration? Yep. They thought maybe there was just a chunk on the tire, but as he continued to run, Carl said, yes, I'm still feeling that vibration. So watch out on this 19.
So many times these drivers continuing to say we just can't have a bad race. We just can't have a bad race. Well, already we're seeing drivers having to fight from mistakes. Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., potential.
These 2 guys are racing for their life right now. This free pass position is more important actually than this pass, for 3rd place, because that caution comes out. That can be the difference between you getting back in the lead lap. Remember, when you get back in the lead lap, you still have to start at the back of the pack. So it really takes 2 series of cautions to get yourself caught back up where you originally were. So you have to grind your way into getting your lap back and then getting your position back.
And that is the battle for the free pass on the left. Martin Truex Jr. just getting by the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Kelly.
And as fast as Kevin Harvick was to start this race, going up 30 positions, since those 2 pit stops they made to put 2 tires on each time, he said the Ford car is out of control. He said, I can't.
Chase Elliott having an extremely nice run. In fact, Alan Gustafson asked him a moment ago, how's the car? He said, I'm really, really, really happy. That was 3 reallys, he said. And remember, they get better the longer that they run. loosen up that 3 car. Also, Chase Elliott coming down pit road. Very happy with that race car. The only problem is he has no water temperature gauge that works in the car right now, so he doesn't know the water temperature inside the race car. Brad Keselowski leaving pit road as well. He said the drive off was, quote, reasonable inside that inside that 2 car. He said it's a little bit loose in and off. They made an air pressure adjustment trying to tighten up that car.
Jimmie Johnson now has led 65 laps of this race. He's told Chad Knaus that he started off a little bit tighter that run. He had to use the track bar inside the cockpit, and he has asked Chad to go back on the adjustments that they made last time down pit road. You see, it's going to be a 4-tire stop for the 48, Marty.
Kelly Brad Keselowski told Paul Wolfe, turns 3 and 4, late center exit. That's by far my weakest spot. Car is too tight. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, trying to loosen it up. Chase Elliott extremely happy with that 24 car. They debated on making a change. Alan Gustafson said, no, let's leave it alone. And for Kyle Busch, he said it was way better that run, but if you can free me up just a little bit with air pressure, I think that would help me out. Jimmie Johnson wins that race off pit road, Rick.
Sure does. As we look at the race off pit road, brought to you by Geico. No positions changed in the...
Here, they're running 3rd and 5th currently with Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano.
Jimmie Johnson has chosen the inside line. Chase Elliott on the outside. Back to racing.
A good restart for the 24 Chase Elliott. We have heard all year long that restarts seem to have struggled for this young man, but that was a great restart as he storms to the outside of his teammate, Jimmie Johnson.
Trying to take the lead away from Jimmie Johnson using that higher line. Through the bumps in 3 and 4, and Jimmie Johnson will exit 4 out in front. Chase Elliott running second. Here comes Brad Keselowski. A lot of momentum with the 2 as he's trying to get by the 24 for second. Kyle Busch runs 4th. Joey Logano 5th. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson 6th and 7th. Casey Kane is 8th. Jamie McMurray 9th. Kurt Busch 10th.
Everybody on these restarts tries to run the bottom of the racetrack with new tires, higher grip on the racetrack. You basically just want to go around the shortest possible way. As the tires start to wear out, the grip starts to leave, then you start looking for where the car has the most grip. It doesn't matter how big the racetrack is on.
And Jeff, such an impressive run for Chase Elliott up in the 2nd position. And I talked to Alan Gustafson about really the approach coming into the chase. He said, I could see the last few weeks of the regular season, Chase was putting way too much pressure on himself. So I told him, coming into the chase, have fun. Nobody expects us to win the championship. We're playing with house money. Just go enjoy driving the race car. Look, you're 20 years old. Have fun. You're in your rookie season in the playoffs. Why not just enjoy it?
Marty, it's hard to stop and just enjoy it. The pressure's so high. You know, you've worked so hard to be here. You don't want to give up anything. You want to make sure you give it 100% effort. If you're not thinking about it, if you're not worrying about it, you feel like someone else is. So it's hard to step back and enjoy it because you want it so badly, you know. And if you're not working, you're not critiquing, you're not trying to make yourself better, you just don't feel like you're giving 100%.
We've talked about it over and over. The maturity of the young 20-year-old. And welcome back to NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing from Chicagoland. The telecast presented by Toyota. One driver going places is the 24 of Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott, after such a dominant performance early by Jimmie Johnson, Elliott was able to get by the 48 easily.
And so was the 18 of Busch. He was also able to get by the 48 to get himself unlapped. So all of a sudden, Jimmie Johnson's having problems, even in the middle of the corner, how slow he is. Chase Elliott easily passed Jimmie Johnson.
And when he passed him, he has pulled away to a 2.5 lead.
We were wondering if there was something wrong with the 48 on the radio. He mentioned this moments ago.
All right, man. Things acted weird when I let off the gas. It like goes straight.
Brad Keselowski, after the green flag pit stops, is 3rd. He is almost 4 seconds behind Jimmie Johnson. That is Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano, the top 5.
And what a moment for Chase Elliott. 84 laps to go. Race 1 of the round of 16. He qualified for the chase, driving the iconic 24 that Jeff Gordon made famous. Still looking for his first win. What would be a better race to get a win than the first race of the chase, get that automatic bid into the round of 12.
And think about what Chase Elliott is doing right here. Not only is he trying to win this race, he's also trying to prevent Kevin Harvick from having a good race. So getting in front of A.J. Allmendinger, putting A.J. Allmendinger a lap down, now has A.J. in that free pass position, keeping Kevin Harvick out of that opportunity. And with the 18 right in front of him, he could possibly get him a lap down as well. That would get another car.
And Jeff, you saw on that graphic the 2 second-place finishes at Michigan, and we saw how hard he was on himself after that second place at Michigan in August. After that race, Alan Gustafson called him into his office and said, hey, listen, I don't mind you being hard on yourself, but I also want you being your biggest cheerleader. I also want you walking in the garage area saying, you know what, I can beat everybody in here, having confidence that you can do that. That's the attitude you need to have in this chase. You need to be relaxed, but you need to be confident. How big is that for a young driver to feel like, Jeff, that he can get it done, even though he hasn't gotten that first win yet?
I believe Chase Elliott knows he can get it done. I've watched Chase Elliott race late models. I've watched him race when he was 15, 16, 17 years old. This guy has talent. He has skill. There's no doubt about it. And he drives like he knows it, but he is hard on himself. He really takes time to say, what could I have done different? Is there something that I could have done that could have made us win that race or not had a bad finish? I like that in a young driver. It's not always positive. It's not always fun, but he takes accountability. And I think that's one of his strengths, and that's why he is so good.
Well, and Rick, 2 cautions in 187 laps. I don't buy it. With 80 laps to go, we're going to see yellows. Chase Elliott is going to have to try to figure out a way to be better than he's been on those restarts if he wants to try to win this race.
Only 3 drivers in their rookie season have ever made the chase. One of those being Denny Hamlin during his rookie season. The other being Chris Buescher and, of course, Chase Elliott. Gone by the 14, and so the free pass will go to Tony Stewart. Pit road is open. Last time they were on pit road, about 20 laps to go. So the 24 already looking to head the hard left onto pit road, and he's got quite a few followers. Kelly.
We heard Jimmie Johnson say earlier that his car was acting weird. Well, he just had a full description for Chad Knaus, but to sum it up, he said this car is evil to drive. So they're going to bring him to pit road, make some adjustments. They'll also, you see the wrench going in there, they'll make a chassis adjustment. It's also going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel, Mike.
Denny Hamlin had asked his crew chief, Mike Wheeler, earlier to remind him about his pit road speeds. He's had several infractions this year. He's been very careful today. 4 tire change and a wedge adjustment to free him up. Marty?
Brad Keselowski told Paul Wolfe, I like our long run speed, but the car right now just way too line sensitive. Chase Elliott already gone from pit road. 12-second stop for that bunch. He said we're really good out front, but in traffic we're a little too tight.
Great stops for the 24, 48, and 11. Denny Hamlin making up a spot coming off pit road.
The leader, Chase Elliott, he took the outside. We saw earlier that when Jimmie Johnson was on the inside of him, Chase was not able to get around on the outside. So even though he did that, Chase Elliott did pick the outside. You mentioned, Steve, that Chase's problem has been restarts. He's lost several races on restarts. So with sticker tires, new tires, he needs to nail this restart. This won't be the last one probably. He needs to learn how to do it right now and be able to apply it as this race comes to an end.
How about the Hendrick Motorsports graphic here? Already today, 139 laps led. The last 12 races combined, they only led 122 laps. So definitely a turnaround, at least in this first race of the chase, for the 2 chase drivers in Jimmie Johnson and Chase Elliott.
Well, and you look, we have the top 7 as chasers, Kenseth in 9th, and then another group of chasers from 11th back to 15th. Stewart got back on the lead lap, but Kevin Harvick, we ride along here with Kevin Harvick. He has battled all day trying to get that lap back. Currently sits in the position to get the free pass. He just hasn't had that timely yellow. He's probably run more laps in this position than any car today, but can't seem to be there when the caution comes out. If he's fortunate enough to get his lap back, the 4 still shows some of that speed. He might be able to get back up in there and still be a contender.
And you heard him accelerating, and that's what Kevin Harvick's doing.
Kevin Harvick, a veteran, and Chase Elliott has been so hard on himself, as far as especially after Michigan, thinking he was going to win that race, but on the restart, he was bettered by Kyle Larson. Now in a position to where he can take on a 6-time champion. Back into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. A great restart by the 48 of Jimmie Johnson. Chase Elliott utilized the momentum on the high side and clear him. Coming out of turn 2, he does.
It's got to be good for Chase's his confidence. He knows he can do it. He knows if he gets that opportunity to win the race, he just does. He just did it. He's just going to have to do it again.
Good job, buddy.
And with 69 laps to go, now 68. That's still outside of the fuel window. They'll have to come to pit road at least one more. Consistently in the top 5 all day long. Out front, Chase Elliott has been able to drive by the 6-time champion Jimmie Johnson to take the lead, and now Chase Elliott has led 36 laps, still searching for his first ever win in the Sprint Cup Series, but has made the chase as just a rookie this season.
It would be a huge win this race. It automatically advances you to the next round of these playoffs. So having your first win in the playoffs is huge.
At the beginning of the race, green flag pit stops were taking place when a caution came out, and that put the 4 of Kevin Harvick, ended up putting him a lap down. He has fought all race long to try to get that lap back, but still in the free pass position, running 19th, 1 lap down.
Well, it hasn't been just Kevin Harvick that had to recover. The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. had to pit early. Here you see Kevin Harvick
in front of this field that potentially could get that first win, and maybe even in Dawsonville, Georgia, at the pool room, the siren might sound again for another Elliott, Bill Elliott, who had 44 wins, and every time he would win, they would ring the siren. At the pool room in Dawsonville, Georgia, Chase Elliott, 52 laps away from potentially his first win in the Sprint Cup Series. Want to listen into Joey Logano's radio. That was spotter coverage presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less. Does the 24 of Chase Elliott have to worry about the little bit of debris that's on one of the hood pins here?
Yeah, I saw that a little while ago. That's been there. It's been there for a long time. I don't think it's anything other than annoying. You know, as a driver, you're seeing that. See how it's in the windshield?
Yeah, right in his windshield.
Yeah, just not paying attention to it, just ignoring it. It's more an annoyance than anything.
Steve, with ADD, would you have any way could you avoid looking at that streamer that's right in front of you?
Well, I think 200 miles an hour would keep me pretty well focused. And that's what makes these race car drivers so special, is that these are long races, and the amount of focus, the level of focus they have to carry for all of these green flag runs. We've only had 3 cautions at 217 laps, so we've had long green flag runs, and they have to keep their focus and try to put together the best laps. As we see
20-year-old Chase Elliott has been around the racetrack since he was born. 16-time most popular driver Bill Elliott, father of Chase Elliott, and 44 times his father has been able to win. Chase Elliott looking for his first win. He has been out front 49 laps of the 225 complete, just 42 laps remaining from Chicagoland in the first race of the chase. The gap between Chase Elliott and Jimmie Johnson, 1.7 seconds, 3.5 seconds back from him. Martin Truex Jr. It looks as though Martin Truex.
And we've seen this team. They've been in it. They've had issues throughout the year. They've had a lot of races where they've had the fastest car, but have found ways, through mistakes or sometimes not fault of their own. But they have speed to recover, and that's what they've done today. They had problems, but now they've gotten themselves within 3.5 seconds of the leader, and they're fast enough. If everything goes their way, they can get back to the lead and have a shot to win this race.
Getting ready for green flag pit stops. Before that, let's go through the field. We'll start with Marty Snyder.
And Rick, those green flag pit stops could be coming quickly. Chase Elliott quiet this entire run once he took the lead. He just came on the radio a moment ago, told the team, I'm pretty good right here. I don't want any changes on this stop. You bring your best car to the first race of the chase. This is the car that almost won Michigan twice, Kelly.
A lot to talk about between who could possibly win this race and who has lost points. We have Jimmie Johnson, Tony Stewart a lap down, giving up points, and perhaps Chase Elliott getting his first ever win with 21 to go, trying to hold off the 78 of Martin Truex Jr.
We will tell you that Alex Bowman has stayed on the racetrack, so he is still scored as the race leader, but has to come to pit road. So he is just hoping that a caution would come out that would put all of these cars that are behind him at least a lap down. There's quite a few. Only right now 11 cars on the lead lap. But that includes Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr. Those two are running second and third right now.
And remember that car, he's not in a chase. He has nothing to lose. He has no risk versus reward. Take a gamble. Yeah, I'm sorry. Take a gamble. Try to make something happen. Good call. Try to make a win.
Right. Absolutely. And these two cars are fighting traffic. Chase Elliott's doing a nice job working through traffic. Their gap seems to come and go with who got traffic clean. Last lap, Chase Elliott had a nice clean run through traffic. Martin Truex Jr. did not. He lost about 0.2 of a second to the race, or not the race leader, but the second place.
It's so important. You have to put your car where it's the fastest, and if you catch a slower car and he's running your line, you can't, if you go around him on the outside, then you're way slow. So wherever you catch those cars, the timing of that's so important.
Chase Elliott taking over for the retired Jeff Gordon in the 24, the famous 24 that Jeff Gordon won championships in so many races. And now looking for his first ever win in the Sprint Cup Series, and couldn't happen in the first race of the chase that he makes as a rookie. Big story for Chase Elliott. So tough on himself as far as the last time he was in position to get a win at Michigan. It was a restart that he said it was my fault. I didn't get that win. I did it wrong. As Alex Bowman has come to pit road now. Dave. The gap between Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., 250 feet. He's made up 50 feet on the racetrack. Does he have enough time, though? 11 laps to go. Chase Elliott looking for his first win. Martin Truex Jr. wanting to start out with that pre-pass into the round of 12. Jeff Gordon on top of the 24 pit box, making that number famous for Hendrick Motorsports. Marty.
And Rick, nobody has won in the number 24 except for the man on the left side of the screen. That may change in 11 laps. Chase told me earlier this week he has leaned on Jeff Gordon, and the fact that Jeff has been in the car this year has been a tremendous help to him. But in the last few weeks, he's asked him about his experience last year in the chase. Remember, Jeff Gordon won a must-win race at Martinsville and went on to battle for the championship at Homestead, Miami. He said that experience is huge for me to lean on. So far, though, Dad Bill and Mom Cindy not around. They're sitting in Chase's coach, I'm sure nervous, pacing right now as their son 10 laps away from a win. Rick Hendrick watching on. Can Chase Elliott hold off Martin Truex Jr. and get his first career win?
Well, he needs to keep doing what he just did right there. A great pass on Casey Mears in the 13 without giving up lap time. As we see the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. start to climb the hill, starting running the middle and the top groove. He has to find something. He can't follow the 24 around the bottom. He has to try to find a place that the 78 has a little bit more speed.
The gap closing just a bit, though. It was over 2 seconds between the two. Then it got down to 1 second the last time they went by the finish line. And now with just 8 laps to go, the gap 0.9 of a second. Dave.
And Rick, the theme once again today for Martin Truex Jr., overcoming. But this team does that every week. Remember, it's based in Denver, Colorado, so they've got to take their hauler from way out west back to the east. It was kind of a break this week coming to Chicagoland, but overcoming the theme today and certainly all year long for this group from Denver that just seems to try harder and find a way to get to the front.
And interesting, the 42 of Kyle Larson on pit road now. They go to the right side to change right side tires. Marty.
And Rick, it's a right front problem. Kyle said it feels like the right front is going down or going away. So just to be conservative, remember, battling for a championship, Chad Johnson made the call to bring him to pit road in case that right front was indeed going down.
I like that decision. We saw last year with the 4 flat tire cost him a lot of points. While pitting will definitely hurt Kyle Larson, it'll be nowhere near as big a hit as if he does have an issue on the racetrack.
You just hope when you come in you find something wrong. That's the scary part as a driver. You complain, you say something's wrong, you come in, they take the tire off, and they find nothing wrong. And that's just such a difficult position for the driver to be in.
Every point matters. And right now, most important for Chase Elliott is the possibility of having the pass into the round of 12. A win and you advance. Chase Elliott still looking for his first Sprint Cup Series win, and now just 5 laps away from that. The gap a little bit further that time. 1.1 seconds between Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr.
We talked about Martin Truex Jr. He's led the most laps on these 1.5 miles. So Chase Elliott knows that he has a very, very stiff competitor behind him. He's going to have to be one of the very best to get his first win. But that's how it happens. You typically get your first win. They're never easy. You have to beat the very best. We have a caution. We have a caution.
Caution comes out, and it's for the 95. Michael McDowell's right front blows, and the right front fender completely comes off.
And that first victory just became even more difficult to get. So now we're going to have decisions to make by the teams. Do I pit? Do I not pit? Chase Elliott's going to have that right restart. This is going to be a tough decision because when you're the leader, Steve, there's so many people on the track that have so much that they need to gain. If you pit, they stay out. So this is a very tough call.
Well, you mentioned it. It's all moved from the driver's seat to on top of the pit boxes. The decisions. Alan Gustafson, the crew chief for Chase Elliott, the race leader. Cole Pern, the crew chief for Martin Truex Jr. And don't forget, back in third, Denny Hamlin in the 11. He showed some speed. He won this race a year ago. Do you pit? Do you not? And like you said, it's so difficult because whatever the 24 does, a majority will do the different. If he stays out, who comes to pit road? Fresh tires will be better, but will he have enough gap? If he feels he has to have fresh tires, how many stay out? I don't believe you can win if you don't restart in the front 2 or 3 rows.
And look at these guys. They're already thinking about the restart. You see the 78 of Martin Truex. He was swerving his car back and forth. The 24 car, he was swerving his car back and forth. They're already trying to get those tires clean.
12 of the top 14 are currently Chase drivers. So not just Chase Elliott, but what about Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon? These decisions can lead to a lot of points, either plus or minus.
You see the Chase grid and where they currently are running on the track. The gap between 14th, 16th, back to Tony Stewart. Kyle Larson 18th, Kevin Harvick 19th, Chris Buescher 28th. Dave.
Truex is going to come to pit road following leader Chase Elliott. Now it's up to the crew. Can they maintain position, get all the lug nuts tight, or perhaps pick up a spot for Martin Truex Jr.? He'll take 4. Mike
Wheeler, crew chief for Denny Hamlin, asking his driver, how good are your tires? He said they were just okay. That made the decision easy. Down pit road for fresh rubber on the 11 car. They're on pit road, as are the other leaders. Marty?
Pit stops that could decide Chase race number 1, and a little bit of a fumble on the 24 stop. The carrier on the rear missed that tire as it was handed to him. They're here for Joey Logano. Still a little bit too free, but still a good stop for the 24. Now let's see who wins that race off pit road. It'll be the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., Rick.
Truex Jr. wins the race off of pit road. Chase Elliott loses a spot. A couple drivers stayed out on the racetrack, though.
Well, Ryan Blaney, we had mentioned that he ran longer than most people, so his green flag pit stop was a little bit later. It was about 15 laps later. So what's Ryan Blaney say? You know what? Rookie year, let's try to win a race. So he stays on the racetrack. Ryan Blaney will line up as the leader of the race. Another non-chaser, Casey Kane, misses the chase. A disappointing year for Casey Kane, but we've seen Hendrick Motorsports speed today. We've talked a lot about Chase Elliott, a lot about Jimmie Johnson. Well, here's Casey Kane, another Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet, who will start on the front row next.
Continue until they get a clean restart.
That's right. Chase Elliott's going to have to lay back a little bit, try to time the restart, try to get some momentum on the 19. Remember, this big, wide, flat apron on the bottom of the front straightaway, you can use that to try to make a pass.
2 by 2. Ryan Blaney on the inside. Casey Kane on the outside. Coming into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. We're in overtime. Sponsored by Credit One Bank.
Blaney with a great restart. Truex making it 3 wide.
Fresh tires on the outside for the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. 4 wide behind him, Martin Truex Jr. sailing through turn 2 and down the backstretch he goes, trying to take the lead away as they go into 3. They made it past the overtime line. Martin Truex Jr. so strong early in the race, led 30 laps and has had to work his way back up front, but now he's done it out in front. White flag in the air one more time around.
Clear about 10 over to 21. Nice and smooth down the back.
Chasers that are able to win a race will advance to the next round. That next round, the round of 12. Martin Truex Jr. has fought through adversity once again. His career has been fighting through adversity, and he'll win at Chicagoland. Race 1. With the win, Martin Truex Jr. will advance to the round of 12. And then the points, so important. Austin Dillon, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher. They're the bottom 4 after 3 races. The bottom 4 in points do not advance into that round of 12. Let's hear from the guy who was out front for 75 laps today. He's with Martin.
And Rick, nobody leaves Chicagoland more disappointed than Chase Elliott. So what was going through your mind when that caution came out, when it looked like the race was yours, Chase?
I expect it. Nothing's yours until it's over. So, man, that's part of life, man. You're not dumb. We've all watched this stuff long enough. We know these races don't go green that long, and we see more cautions come out at the end of these races than we do not. So that's just part of it, man. You got to expect it, be able to embrace it, and move forward. I feel like we did a good job controlling the things that we could control today. Had a fast Napa Chevy. Appreciate everybody's hard work this weekend. Hendrick was strong. That's good to see. And like I said, there's some things you just can't control with the amount of guys that stay out and where you line up on a restart. So, we played the cards we were dealt, and it came up short.
You guys did lose a spot on that final pit stop. Had you started 4th, where Truex started, do you feel like you could have won the race?
Well, if one less guy had stayed out, then we would have been 4th. So you never know how things are going to play out. Obviously, you hate to lose a spot on pit road, but our guys did a good job all day. They were solid, and those are the kind of days we have to have on pit road. So we'll take it as motivation to move forward.
How encouraged are you by the speed the 24 brought this weekend?
Yeah, we're definitely proud of it, man. We're proud of that. We're proud of the run we had today. Obviously, hate to come up short, but that's part of life some days. But we were fast, and I think that's something to be happy about. And we can move forward to Loudon with with some motivation, I think, and get ready to get going.
Well, it looked like the race was his, but Chase Elliott winds up finishing 3rd this afternoon, Rick.
And I'm very impressed with Chase Elliott and the way he took that situation that was dealt to him. They had a bad pit stop. He didn't get that position that he wanted, but so many times we hear him get down on himself. But right there, he was very positive.
Yeah, and he took the pressure off the pit crew.
Absolutely.
He didn't point the finger right at him. He said, hey, look, if one more guy would have pitted, then we would have started in that row. So he took the pressure off that crew, and that's what he's done all year long. At his young age, he said, I got to be better. I got to be better. He has taken the attention away from his pit crew and put it directly on him.
Well, you mentioned his young age, 20 years old. He just basically, as a 20-year-old man, took all the positives, made no excuse for the negatives, said what this team needed to do better, took the excitement of having speed in his race car, moving forward to try to move out of this round of 16. That is the Chase Elliott I think everybody wanted to see after a race, and that was a great interview. Looking forward to New Hampshire.
And he's exceptionally disappointed. Right. I mean, he's exceptionally disappointed with not getting this win, but he knows there's another race next week, and he's putting his attention to that already.
He was one of the drivers that came in without bonus points, but finishing 3rd in this one. Very impressive points day for Chase Elliott, but ultimately the win goes to Martin Truex Jr. Let's go now